Be mindful. Your mind has wandered outside. If you want to make quick progress, you must be able to identify phenomena. Don't leave your practice unguided. Like, when you hear that people practice by breathing, you follow them. Or you hear that people practice by reciting Buddha, you follow them. You see that people practice by observing their bellies expanding and contracting, and you may try that. You may also know that people practice by making hand movements. These are all the shells of the practice. If you practice by silently reciting Buddha, Buddha is a notational object. It is a product of thought. You can also practice by reciting the alphabets. So, when you practice, and you don't really see phenomena, your practice won't really develop. At most, you may gain peacefulness. Not all objects are objects for meditation. There are 4 types of objects. Object means something that is known or observed. The first is called notational objects. This is the subject of your thoughts. These subjects aren't real. For example, if you're a woman, you can think that you're a male bodybuilding champion. Or if you're a male, you can think that you're the Miss Universe. Can you think or imagine so? You can. But the thoughts are not reality. So, when you practice developing wisdom, you must be outside of the world of thoughts, dreams, and imagination. You must know phenomena. Notational objects are not phenomena. They don't manifest the 3 characteristics. The body and the mind manifest the 3 characteristics. They're non-self and aren't under your control. You cannot control the body to be free from aging, sickness, or death. You cannot control the mind to only be full of happiness. But for notational objects, there's no limit to your happy thoughts, but they're not real. For wisdom development, you must see real objects, which are phenomena. There are 2 types of phenomena that are suitable for wisdom development: physical phenomena and mental phenomena. Physical phenomena exist. They're not subjects of thoughts. Mental phenomena are also phenomena. For example, happiness, sadness, equanimity, memory, and perception. And wholesome and unwholesome fabrications are mental phenomena. You need correct objects for wisdom development. They must be physical and mental phenomena. The 4th phenomenon, Nibbana, can't be used for insight practice. Nibbana is permanent. Nibbana is stable and peaceful. But Nibbana has an important characteristic of non-self. Nobody owns Nibbana. Nibbana still exists after the Buddha's passing. When you practice, you must see real phenomena. Le people have never seen Nibbana. Nibbana is first seen very briefly at the moment of first enlightenment, because you haven't seen Nibbana. You don't use it as a practice object for insight practice. Many people don't know that in order to develop wisdom, you must use abstract or mental phenomena as practice objects to be observed. So, they try to control or fabricate their minds to be still and empty. They think that, with much peacefulness, wisdom will develop. Peacefulness practice yields peacefulness. Wisdom development yields wisdom. They're different. But, for wisdom development, a peaceful and vigorous mind is a must. So, peacefulness supports wisdom development. Practicing peacefulness for a vigorous, upright, and luminous mind is called calmness meditation. It supports wisdom development, which is the essence. In order to be enlightened, you must practice insight. The Buddha said, "One reaches purity through wisdom. This wisdom is insight wisdom." So, if you don't develop insight and wisdom to see the truth of physical and mental phenomena, you will never become enlightened. When you do a sitting meditation, and the mind enters peacefulness quickly and stays there, you can't develop further. Many people don't know this principle, so they continue to practice peacefulness and stay with peacefulness. Many years can pass without any development. I've met a grandma who's been stuck in peacefulness for almost 70 years. She only had peacefulness. When she encountered something unpleasant, she entered a deep peacefulness where the physical world and her body disappeared. The only thing remained was her peaceful, luminous, and happy mind. She came to ask for my advice to practice further. She knew what she was practicing wasn't the way. But I didn't want to show her, because she's been addicted to peacefulness for almost 70 years. If I led her out of this, her mind would be untamably restless and unfocused. Given her age, this was risky. If she died with a restless mind, she could be reborn in a bad realm. If that's the case, then her 70 years of practice would have been a failure, as it could have led her to hell. This is the danger caused by not knowing the principles and focusing only on practicing peacefulness. A few days ago, a man came to this temple. I didn't know what he practiced. His mind was over-fixating and very tight, as if his chest was about to explode. He arrived at the monk's meal time. He asked to see me. A monk here told him that it was my meal time. He was so stressed out and finally let out a very loud, high-pitched scream. After screaming, he was more relaxed and went home. It was a wrong practice to control oneself to the point of breaking. It was smart of him to let out a scream. If he hadn't had a way out, he could have gone nuts. So, if you don't know the principle that you must learn about phenomena as the primary practice, You can practice wrong samadhi. With correct samadhi, the mind will be peaceful, upright, happy, vigorous, and refreshed. If you practice by suppressing the mind, not going nuts is already considered successful. So, you must know the principles. The main practice is insight meditation. The objects for insight practice are the physical and abstract phenomena. The body consists of physical phenomena, feelings, mental formations, and consciousness are abstract phenomena. To develop wisdom, you must be mindful of physical and abstract phenomena. First, know the existence of physical phenomena. Next, know their ever-changing nature. You can do the same with abstract phenomena. First, know their existence, and then know their ever-changing nature. First, know the existence of the body and the mind, then see their ever-changing nature. The body changes because suffering causes conflicts and decays. The body must constantly change its posture. The mind is full of impermanence. It's chaotic and uncontrollable. Seeing the truth of the body and the mind is developing wisdom. Calmness meditation develops a peaceful, upright, and luminous mind. There's also a principle here. Before the Buddha's enlightenment, many people in India were meditating. There were many rishis and yogis. Many of them had supernatural powers and could perform miracles. Their minds could enter deep absorption. When Prince Siddhartha left his palace, he went to study with a rishi. It's natural to think of practice as doing sitting meditation. Prince Siddhartha had the same thought. He had just left the palace and wanted to practice. So he went to study sitting meditation from a rishi. He found that the mind's impurities and suffering returned when his mind left absorption. If you're used to peacefulness in meditation, your impurities and suffering will intensify when there's contact with the world. The mind will be on fire and the world will be unbearable. Prince Siddhartha had accumulated much good quality, so he knew that this kind of practice wasn't the answer. It was like a painkiller. The pain can recur, and more painkillers are needed. When the mind is unhappy, enter samadhi. After leaving absorption, unhappiness returns. It wasn't useful. It's just a way to temporarily escape suffering. So, he practiced another kind of samadhi. This samadhi consists of mindfulness. Peacefulness is no longer the goal, but mindfulness is. He had experienced this kind of samadhi when he was little. He attained this from his accumulated past merits. His mind attained this kind of samadhi without being taught. He was sitting alone under a tree, observing his breathing. When he had a long exhale, he knew so. When he had a long inhale, he knew so. He wasn't bending his mind towards mindless happiness. The key difference between his samadhi and other rishis is the word no. When the body has a long exhale, know that the body has a long exhale. When the body has a long inhale, know that the body has a long inhale. Do it until the breathing seems to stop. Joy, happiness, and oneness then arise in the mind. When he was little, he got to this point without losing mindfulness. When he went to practice by himself, he practiced this samadhi. The mind with correct samadhi is a knower. When directed attention and sustained attention arose in his first absorption, he let them cease and entered the second absorption. He then let joy cease to enter the third absorption. He let happiness cease to enter the fourth absorption. In the fourth absorption, the mind has equanimity and mindfulness. The mind with the Buddha's samadhi is knowing, awakened, and blissful. It is free from the world of thoughts and opinions. If it is wrong samadhi, the mind can be half asleep and dreaming. It can see mental visions. It causes misunderstanding that you have many supernatural powers. It lets you see the past, the future, ghosts, divine beings, your past life, your next life, other people's thoughts, and many other things. The only thing you don't know about is yourself. But if you practice the Buddha's samadhi, the mind will be mindful and free from delusions, forgetfulness, and mindlessness. So, when you practice for peacefulness and stability, don't abandon mindfulness. When breathing out, know so. When breathing in, know so. Don't fixate on the breathing. Just know. Know that the body is breathing out or breathing in. If you want to use postures, know that the body is standing, walking, sitting, or lying down. When the mind enters absorption, mindfulness remains. There will be no sleepiness or lapse of consciousness. You can go all the way to formless absorptions. Then, the world seems to disappear, but mindfulness remains. If you enter the eighth absorption, mindfulness is very weak, because perception almost disappears. If perception ceases, the mind will cease as well. If the mind ceases, you enter the unconscious being realm. So, mindfulness and perception is a must. Practice until your mind is upright and vigorous, then cultivate wisdom. How do you cultivate wisdom? The first step isn't yet considered insight. It is a beginner's wisdom. It is separating the physical and abstract phenomena. When you're listening to me, your mind automatically has samadhi. Because when you're close to me, you're afraid of me and won't let your mind be rowdy. That's why the mind is upright. Now, you guys have upright minds. Do you feel that the body is sitting? And the body that's sitting is merely something being observed. This is using the physical phenomena as your practice objects. Knowing the existence of the body isn't yet insight practice. You know that the body exists. Don't let mindlessness make it disappear. Then see that the body is something being observed. Right here, you'll see that the body isn't self. It's something that is being observed. This view is still led by thought, and isn't real insight practice yet. If you keep observing the body frequently, you'll see that suffering disturbs the body constantly. You can sit comfortably only shortly before aching or itching disturbs it. When aching gets stronger, you must make a movement to tame the aching. You'll see that the body consists only of suffering of varying degrees. Now, you start to have insight wisdom because you see it without thinking about it. So, if you practice by observing the body while sitting, be relaxed and calm. There's no need to see much. See the body that's disturbed by suffering. See whether you can control the sitting body to be only comfortable without any suffering. See the reality, and you'll see that the body always gets disturbed by suffering. If your mindfulness and samadhi are sufficient, you don't need to see the body standing, walking, sitting, or lying down. It's too slow. You can see the body that's breathing. Try to inhale for a very long time. Do you suffer or not? You do. So, breathing in is suffering, so you need to breathe out. At first, breathing out brings comfort from not having to breathe in further. If you breathe in and don't breathe out, you die. That's how big this suffering is. After breathing in and suffer, you breathe out. To tame the suffering from breathing in. After breathing out for a while, suffering arises again. You need to breathe in to tame the suffering from breathing out. Keep observing, and you'll see that the body is being disturbed by suffering at every breath. The mind that can see this must have a lot of strength and stability. If your mind doesn't have that good a quality, see the postures. Sitting for a long time is suffering, and so are standing up, walking, and lying down. At the moment of waking up, don't stretch yet. Feel the body first, and you'll notice a lot of aching, even if you've just slept for many hours. You stretch to tame this suffering. After you get up, you wash your body and face. Why do you need to wash yourself? Because the body is full of filth and ugliness. If you don't maintain it, it'll be filthy. You can't even stand your own body's odor. You also need to poop regularly. You eat good food, but poop that comes out isn't. This body is like a crap factory. You put in good materials and crap comes out. You can't even stand the smell of the output. This body is detestable. Keep observing your body like this. This isn't yet insight practice. This will make the mind peaceful. When you see the body as filthy and ugly, the mind will become peaceful. You'll attain another type of samadhi. And if your mind is also upright, then it's good. Keep observing the body. You'll see that it is constantly disturbed by suffering. Or, some people can see the body as consisting of elements. Elements flow in and out. Food flows in and poop comes out. Elements flow in and out. Water flows in and pee flows out. Like breathing in and out, the elements are circulating. This body is nothing but an aggregation of elements. Earth, water, fire, and wind elements are kept together through the force of karma. This is reproductive karma, which dictates the properties of your body. Once you have this body, you think this is your true self. But if you practice insight, you'll see that the body is just an aggregate of elements, with elements flowing in and out. Keep observing, and you'll be free of the wrong view that the body is self. It's just an aggregate of elements. It's also purely suffering, only varying in intensity. It's detestable and not worth keeping. When you see the truth of the body, that it's not desirable, the mind will be dispassionate and the attachment to the body will be lessened. After a point, the mind will let go of the body. This is the wisdom of a non-returner. You then practice further. the study for the body is finished. So you continue to learn about the mind. This is the theoretical sequence. Learn about the body, its associated negative feelings, and then the mind. The theoretical sequence is body, feelings, mind, and Dharma. But the actual practice rarely follows this. You can start from the body, feelings, the mind, or even the Dharma, if you have sufficient wisdom. But if we're to be all-inclusive, know the body. See the truth of the body. What is in the body? Physical feelings are inside. The body isn't self. It's an object. It's an aggregate of elements. It is under continuous disturbance by negative feelings. Suffering is something that arises, stays, and decays. It's impermanent. Suffering comes and goes inside the body. This part may suffer, and the suffering may move to another part. The location keeps changing, but it's not under your control. You can't force the body to be free from suffering, aching, tiredness, hunger, feeling too cold, feeling too hot, thirst, urge to poop, or urge to pee. You can't control it. It's not self. When you observe feelings, you can see that. You can't control the body or the feelings. You can't force it to be free from aching, tiredness, or itching. When observing further, you'll see that when a happy feeling rises, the mind is satisfied. This is already contemplation of the mind practice. You see that lust or greed rises with your satisfaction. When unhappiness arises, aversion also arises. Seeing that aversion is mental contemplation practice. Body contemplation is using the body as the practice object. Feelings contemplation is using the physical or mental feelings. Physical feelings can be either happy or unhappy, while mental feelings can be happy, unhappy, or equanimous. When you practice contemplation of the mind, you'll see that when happiness arises, the mind tends to fabricate lust or greed. When unhappiness arises, the mind fabricates anger or aversion. When you're feeling neutral, with a neutral feeling, the mind tends to be unfocused and in mindless joy. This mind is consumed by delusions. If you can observe this, you are observing the mind's impurities. The body is the outermost layer. Feeling is the layer next to the body. Contemplation of the mind, knowing the wholesome or unwholesome fabrications, which are reactions to feelings, is closer to the mind. It's called mental contemplation. If you can see that, when the mind comes into contact with undesirable feelings, aversion arises. Aversion is something being observed. Aversion is not the mind. You'll see that aversion and the mind are distinct. The mind will then be a stable observer. Aversion is a foreign object that temporarily rises and ceases. Lust or greed also rises and ceases. Equanimity also rises and ceases. The mind is just an observer. You will then know that wholesome or unwholesome fabrications also rise, stay temporarily, and decay. Regardless of their wholesomeness, they are equal in the aspect of rising, staying, and decaying. Right here, you'll know that mental formations and the mind are different. This will allow you to see the real mind and its workings. You'll see that the mind goes out to make contact with objects. Through eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and the abstract sense. When contacts happen, wholesomeness or unwholesomeness arise. This is beyond your control. Keep observing. Then you'll see more delicate impurities. That's finer than lusts, aversions, or delusions rising and decaying. The finer impurities are hindrances to wholesomeness. For example, when you're determined to practice, sensual desires can creep in. You'll feel that you've been sitting to practice for a long time, and it's time to take a nap. Further practice is self-torture. This impurity is tricky. Its teaching sounds like Dharma. When you're doing a walking meditation, laziness creeps in. This hindrance is called ill will, and your mind will crave for a nap. This craving is sensual desires. The impurities are very smart. No one can trick them. They will trick you, sometimes very elaborately. If you resolve to do a sitting meditation for 2 hours, and an hour has passed, the body starts to ache badly. So, they trick you into giving up, telling you that continuing to practice is a self-torture. It's not the Buddha's middle path. You've earned your nap. They can trick you like this. Some master, who was about to be fully enlightened, felt that his mind was about to explode. The mind could no longer hold itself together. The master was determined to continue even if this resulted in his death. The trick then showed up. Hey, it's okay if you die. But if you don't, you'll become a mental patient. And you'll be a burden to other people. When this thought entered his mind, the master was shaken and felt like he should stop practicing. So, they trick you when you're doing wholesome acts. The evil of impurity will trick you. When Prince Siddhartha was about to be enlightened, the evil one tried to chase him away from his seat. He reminded himself of all the good deeds he had done, and his determination to become a Buddha to help all beings. He would give his life if that was what it would take. Once he was willing to give his life to fight, the evil one lost. Your mind must be very strong and determined. Otherwise your mind can't fight the impurities. Contemplation of the mind and contemplation of phenomena are different. For contemplation of the mind, you see the impurities directly. You see lusts, aversions, delusions, or wholesomeness rise and decay. For contemplation of phenomena, you see the cause and effect of these mental formations. Why do hindrances rise? Why does sensual desire rise? You'll also see why ill will, restlessness, irritation, uncertainty, or sloth rises. You will know the cause and the result, and your mind will triumph. Wholesomeness that you observe isn't the ordinary absence of greed, aversion, and delusion. Wholesomeness in contemplation of phenomena is of a higher level. It's wholesomeness that's needed for liberation, which is the 7 factors of enlightenment. Enlightened mindfulness is the mindfulness for enlightenment, which is different from mindfulness that's used for wisdom development. They're different. Each phenomenon is more delicate and refined. So, contemplation of phenomena is a difficult practice. Next, you can also observe the aggregates. Observing the body is observing an aggregate. Observing feelings is another. Contemplation of the mind is observing yet another. Contemplation of phenomena is observing all 5 aggregates and seeing their workings, seeing the teamwork of aggregates. You'll also see their impermanence, conflict and decay, and non-self nature. You can observe elements, which is a very delicate practice. If you're studying the body, feelings and mental formations like this, the learning will converge to 18 elements. These 18 are the 6 sensory inputs, 6 sensory objects, and the 6 elements of consciousness that belong to the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and the abstract. You also see how these 18 elements work, and see that there's no being or self here. These elements carry the same name as the physical elements, but they're different. The ultimate lesson in contemplation of phenomena is dependent origination, which is the noble truths. Prince Siddhartha's merits were incomparably higher than ours, so he attained peacefulness with breath mindfulness. He then practiced insight by using the final chapter in contemplation of phenomena, called the chapter about truth. He learned about the 4 noble truths and elaborated their details into dependent origination. Suffering exists because of birth. There are 2 kinds of birth. One caused you to attain this body by physical birth. The more accurate birth is when the mind grabs, gets attached to, and utilizes the senses. This is the real birth, but it is too delicate for your current practice, so I'll only mention it briefly. The birth arises from existence or becoming, which is the fabrication of the mind. Fabrication of the mind is the result of clinging and attachment. Clinging is intense desire or craving. Craving arises from defilement. Defilement arises together with physical or mental feelings. Feeling, which is happiness, sadness, or equanimity, arises from contact. The contact between objects and the sensory inputs give rise to feelings. This contact is possible because the existence of sensory bases. Sensory bases arise because the mental and the physical exists. Eyes are physical. Eyes without the mind don't give rise to contact. You need eyes, images, and visual consciousness to have contact. If you're deep in thoughts and someone walks by, you won't notice that person, because your consciousness is in another sense. You need all 3 parts, the eyes, the images, and the visual consciousness, for this sensory input to work. The mind is behind all this, and the mind arises from fabrications. To study this, you must practice diligently. Casual learning without really seeing won't lead to an understanding. Mental fabrications have 3 types: wholesome, unwholesome, and those aimed at preventing future fabrications. These fabrications arise from ignorance, of not knowing that the 5 aggregates are suffering. So, the mind fabricates. Some people fabricate wholesomeness, some unwholesomeness, and some try to avoid future fabrications. Ignorance is the lack of understanding of the noble truths. It is not knowing that the 5 aggregates are suffering. Not knowing this prevents you from eradicating the cause of suffering. As long as cravings, which are the cause of suffering, exist, the mind won't see Nibbana. When the mind is free from cravings, Nibbana immediately is visible. What gives rise to ignorance? Mental intoxication does. This is a very fine impurity. It intoxicates and soaks the mind. It isn't the mind. It's a contamination. But its nature soaks and engulfs the mind. It's like if you're in slavery unknowingly. You don't think about liberation. If your mindfulness and wisdom are sufficiently strong, you can be free from intoxicants. You'll be free because of a full understanding of the Four Noble Truths. So, there's no need to study much. Know about the Four Noble Truths: suffering, its cause, its ending, and the path. Just pick one of these four. But, for disciples' abilities, know the suffering. It's impossible to know its ending. At the moment of knowing its ending, the mind already knows the suffering. You see its ending after fully knowing the suffering, eradicating the cause of suffering, and having completed noble path. So, know suffering. What is suffering? The 5 aggregates are: your body and mind are suffering. So, be mindful of the body and mind. First, know the existence of the body and the mind. Then, see the 3 characteristics of the body and the mind. After a certain point, the mind will let go of the attachment to the body and mind. Mental intoxication will be eliminated. Because ignorance has been eliminated. Intoxication is caused by ignorance, and ignorance is also caused by intoxication. If the mind is free from ignorance, intoxication can't enter the mind. So, practice. The important thing to do is to know the suffering. Be mindful and observe the body and the mind as they are. But, to know so, you must have samadhi. The mind with samadhi will be upright and impartial. You need to practice this. First, you need the tools to practice. They are mindfulness and right concentration. Mindfulness arises from learning to observe phenomena frequently. Once the mind can recall the phenomena accurately, mindfulness will arise. Samadhi is the stability of the mind. Use mindfulness to practice by knowing your own mind. This is called mental training, and it gives rise to the mind's stability without intention. When the mind is upright, and mindfulness knows an object, the mind can be happy or unhappy. Know so. The mind will be impartial because of mindfulness. Now, you can have mindfulness that knows the body and the mind as they are, with an upright and impartial mind. The mind will be without bias, so it will see the truth of the body and the mind. The body and the mind are impermanent, in conflict and decay, and are non-self. When the mind sees the truth, the mind will be dispassionate, will let go, and will be liberated. When the mind is liberated from the physical, the abstract, the body, and the mind, it will be free from cravings. That is liberation and dispassion. It's free from compositions, which is called the unfabricated. That is nibbana. If you want to experience nibbana, practice what I just taught. This is the summary. Submit your homework.
Number 1. I chant and recite Buddho and observe my breathing. I see things slowing down and see them clearer. When I get lured into overfixating, the mind will be tight. When the mind wanders off to think, and the mind doesn't like it, I feel that something's piercing my mind. Overall I see change, a lot of pressure, and a lot of suffering, but my mind isn't impartial, it doesn't let go, it tries to cover up and fixes the flaws. Please advise.
Don't try to let go. Detachment and letting go are the duty of wisdom, not yours. Your duty is to train the mind. Let the mind learn the truth of the physical, abstract, body, and mind. When wisdom arises, letting go happens automatically. You're practicing well. Practice more. Don't get absorbed. Pull up. Okay, good. Don't sink in. When the mind sinks in, it gets deluded into becoming a state that is becoming of a practitioner. Pull out. Okay, good. Now, know the body as it is. Know the mind as it is with an upright mind that doesn't dive in. The mind that's diving in isn't upright. Can you see that the mind normally moves back and forth? No so. If the mind drifts away, no so. If the mind comes back, no so. Keep observing. Practice more. Good. You're diligent. Number 2. You're practicing very well. Do you want to submit the homework? Number 2. Don't try to do anything. Don't act. It's already good. Don't alter it. Well, it's no longer good. It's too stiff. Back out. Good. Stay here.
Number 2. I still have lust, anger, and delusions, but delusions don't last as long as before.
Good.
I like to compare myself to others, and I see arrogance frequently.
That's good.
I sometimes overfixate, but it's getting better. My mind wanders off frequently. I suffer less and the duration is shortened. I keep changing the practice object because I'm too controlling. I practice in lying down and sitting postures, observing my breath and silently reciting Buddho. I feel that I attain better samadhi, but I feel that I still exert control. Please advise.
It's okay to be a little controlling in the beginning. If you aim for perfection, the mind will be too slack. What you're doing is correct. Now, it is too controlling. Not good. Just a little control is okay. Number 2. You're practicing very well. Keep practicing. Number 2. Now, it's not correct. You're trying to bunch things up. Number 3.
Number 3. You taught me to see that whatever arises, ceases. I clearly see that the mind isn't self. It arises, ceases, and works by itself. I feel the world is more distant and trivial. My body gets sick and is inflamed without reason. And it causes my mind to suffer a lot. The mind struggles with the desire to have a normal body, even though I feel that the body isn't self. I see the attachment and the suffering of the body. Please advise.
That's correct. You see that it isn't self, but the attachment remains. You must reach the state of being almost fully enlightened before your mind lets go of the body. So, clinging on is normal. Can you see that sometimes when you get sick, the mind gets sad? There's no need to fix it. You can see sadness as a foreign object that the mind can see. Keep observing and separate the objects. Good. Practice more. You've much improved. Number 4.
Number 4. 5 months ago, I just found out I'd been overfixating. The mind was stiff and dove in to see wigglings in the middle of the chest. I changed my formal practice to walking. I feel I overfixate less. I still see the mind being overfixating and stiff almost all the time. In formal practice, I overfixate more than in daily life. I practice by observing the stiff fabrications and see that the mind does this by itself and I can't control it to be more relaxed. I see thoughts, impurities, and the wiggling often. How should I practice further?
Your mind's tenseness is the result of overfixating. Overfixating is the result of greed. The greed to be good and to practice. If you know the root cause, which is this greed impurity, the mind will no longer act by overfixating. Without action, there's no the result from kamma, which is suffering and tenseness. So, when the mind is tense, there's no need to unwind it. It can't be unwound. Overfixating is a result of kamma. The force behind the action is the impurity called greed. When you can observe greed, overfixating will cease because you've eliminated the root cause. You're practicing well. Practice more. Number 5. Your critical weakness is too much thinking. This thinking results in restlessness. You can't learn Dharma by thinking. Number 5.
Number 5. When there's an emergency, I see my body moving and can get out of trouble. When I observe the body, I see darkness before the mind returns to know the body. This has happened twice now. When something comes into contact with the mind, sometimes I know, but sometimes the mind runs around trying to find out what the feeling is. I see a lot of thoughts rising, but I'm not sure whether this is my restlessness or my wisdom development. I keep observing the body and the mind. I still cannot see the 3 characteristics. I don't see phenomena arising and ceasing. How should I adjust?
You're still restless. The thinking is still going on. You're trying to find a way to practice well and practice correctly. Practice formally and observe your mind. You can use silently reciting Buddha with breathing or anything else. When the mind wanders off, no so. When the mind over-focuses, no so. Practice like this often. No need to rush to wisdom development. When the mind is restless, wisdom development is impossible. It'll be just thinking. When I said your big problem is thinking, I mean your practice has thinking mixed in. So, don't rush. Keep practicing. When the mind wanders off, no so. When the mind dives in and gets immersed in an object, no so. Practice like this often, so the mind will attain stability and strength. Once you have stability and strength, wisdom development can happen without intention. Your mind has an inclination to develop wisdom. If you rush, you'll fall into the trap of thinking. Don't be disheartened. Look at sadness as some foreign object that the mind can observe. It's good that you're diligent, but your mind is greedy for results. So, it's boiling. The mind is also used to thinking. There's too much thinking. Change the learning method from thinking to knowing. Can you see that the body is breathing? Know this with a normal mind. See the body that's breathing out with a normal mind. Do the same thing for breathing in. Disregard peacefulness. Keep knowing breathing with a normal mind. Remember this. Practice this often. Whenever you have some free time, practice this. This will result in the strength of mind to break away from thoughts. Number 6.
Number 6. During the day, I practice seeing the movement of the body. I see thoughts arising and ceasing automatically all day long. I can see the likes and dislikes that arise from thoughts. When I do a sitting meditation, I see the body breathing. I see feelings arise and cease by themselves. They're impermanent. Sometimes it's peaceful, but sometimes it's not. I try to know the phenomena as they are. I stay with the ever-changing feelings of the mind and the body. Please advise.
The mind is still craving to be good. Can you see this? There's anticipation for goodness, and that's why you can't know naturally. Keep being mindful, without any anticipation about what and when you'll attain something, whether that thing is good or bad. We're not practicing for goodness, happiness, or peacefulness. We practice to see the truth of our own body and mind. Observe normally. Your mind is overly alert. It's too enthusiastic to practice. No so. This can be an excess to your practice. Number 7.
Number 7. I develop wisdom in absorption. I enter formless absorption at the lowest level and I rise up. Then, I descend down the levels. I do this for 30 minutes a day. I don't dare to practice longer, as I'm afraid my mind will be dull and submerged in it. I practice walking meditation in daily life. I frequently am mindful of hearing, seeing, thinking, likes, dislikes, and cravings. Sometimes I mentally rip my body into pieces and burn them. I see the 6 elements. When I do this a lot, only the observing mind remains. I want to seek seclusion. Please advise.
Let me see you enter absorption. I want to see whether you have skillfulness. You're skilled. Now leave. Can you see that some delusion is now with the mind? So, when you enter jhana, keep mindfulness. If you're mindless, you may be a bit sleepy. And when you leave jhana, mental visions can result. Be mindful. Mindfulness is important. What you're doing is good, but be mindful. Don't let the mind be sleepy and forget yourself. There's only a little sleepiness. That's why there's a bit of delusions. Can you see that when you leave samadhi, a bit of delusion is blended in? Practice more. You're doing well. You rip the body apart well. Rip all parts out until only the knowing mind remains. Then further observe that the knowing mind is also impermanent and not self. Observe until you see these characteristics of the knowing mind. Number 8.
Number 8. I practice mainly by walking. I just saw the knowing mind that's distinct from the observed phenomena. Lately, when breathing, I feel hollow in the middle of my chest. I feel that I can enter samadhi quicker. I like to utter oops when new phenomena arise. I feel that my mindfulness isn't quick enough to observe phenomena. I see dissatisfaction and frustration often. My understanding of the non-selfness of the body and mind is still at the thinking level. Please advise.
Practice more. Practice regularly, and you'll get better. That's it for today. Dismissed. Guest monks, please hurry up. I have some business today.